I'm about to attempt to put a headlight on my XR200R. And so this is actually a customer's bike. He's already got the headlight on there, but there's just connectors that aren't going anywhere. He also has a on-off switch here, so he wants it to have an on-off switch. This bike doesn't have a battery. It's a kickstart version. It's got this little voltage regulator. This one says ULP2 on it. But so then if you follow this wire, it's coming out of the stator magneto alternator, right? There's a wire, comes back up, right, and it comes up here. And then at the end of it, you have a black, a pink, and a yellow. And they go into these little connections. The black wire goes to a wire that's black and red. And then the yellow wire goes to a pink wire with a little yellow tab on it. And then the pink wire goes to a pink wire. And then they're basically, this whole piece is wrapped up in tape. Like, just this end is all kind of like taped up right here. So, and that's connected to this like this little wrap thing. So you just take that tape off there. Okay. And this thing is all, this little cover goes down over all of these. So when it's all put together, this little cover is stuffed in like that. So you'll have to take that up out of the way. And this is all kind of tucked in here, zip tied on, all tucked up under the frame here. So you undo that, you get this out of the way, right? Take the tape off here. And then where those two pink wires are going in, they're going up into this little thing here. If you just pull on these two pink wires, this little doodad comes out. And so basically what you're left with is the yellow and the pink are essentially just connected to each other, right? So they're looping back on each other. I'm thinking those are the wires that we're going to tap into for the power to power the headlight. Alright, so we actually got it going. It's working. It's all just temporarily hooked up. I'll show you how that's all hooked up. Right now, we just have a little bit of gas left in the carburetor. Fuel tank's not hooked up. But I'll show you how we have wired it. The way we hooked it up was we basically have this voltage regulator here. Okay. So the green goes to ground. So I just have that kind of snubbed in there with the ground temporarily. There's a black wire coming off of it. That's just taped off. That's not doing anything. The pink is going to the pink wire. That's coming up from the stator. Pink to pink, and then yellow to yellow. So that's going in, right? Up. Connection there. That's going in. Pink and yellow. Green's going out to ground. Black's not doing anything. That's taped off. And then red is going up. And I have it. Here's the wires coming from the headlight. So we've got the red going in to this white, and then the black I have grounded. And then again, I just have that kind of jammed into the frame right there with an extra little wire. This is all just to test it. And then of course we'll run the switch in there so you can just have it be switched. This is what it ended up looking like. What we did is we got the regulator here, and so I've got mine. This one has the 5-wire version, so the black wire is not doing anything. That's just the end of it is taped off, and it's tucked into here, just out of the way. The green wire goes up over here, and then I've got it spliced in with this other green wire from the switch. So the switch is grounded, and that's just basically like a disconnect. It disconnects the circuit, right? Okay, so I added this little wiring diagram. On the top is the stock, the way it comes from the factory, and then on the bottom is after we added the voltage regulator. So I'll go ahead and add some color into this, and we'll blow up and take a look at the top image a little closer, and then we'll look at the bottom a little closer. Okay, so here's a closer look at what it looks like before you connect the voltage regulator. So you can pause it here and just take a look at it, and you can notice how the pink and yellow kind of loop back on each other right there. Okay, and here's with the regulator installed. So you can see the pink and yellow coming up, and then they actually go into the regulator. And then you have the red going out and the green going out, which is the ground. And in this case, they have a tail light, so you can kind of see how that is. And then they show the switches in between the red. On mine, I did the switch in between the ground, but this just gives you a general idea of kind of like what you're going to be doing. So I just threw that up there in case that helps. So that's coming to ground. That's what that green wire is. It's coming to ground. And this one's coming from this piece. And I just used one of those little crimps that has a little hole in it so you can put a bolt through it. And so I'm utilizing the same bolt location here. Red wire coming out of the voltage regulator, that connects to the white wire coming out of the headlight. Okay, so then we're going to complete the circuit. Then after you're coming out of the light, that's a second wire, is the black one. That one ties in with the orange wire from the switch. So then you're going down, the circuit continues down through the switch, so you have that disconnect to break the circuit or have the circuit be completed. And then coming from the switch, you have that green wire, and that's to ground. So basically, if you turn the light off, that's disconnecting the circuit. So the circuit is not complete. It's not making it back to ground. As soon as you turn the light on, then you're completing the circuit and it's back to ground. And then so you have the green also coming from the voltage regulator that's grounded out to the frame. Okay. And then again, there's 5 wires. The black wire's not doing anything. It's just taped up and tucked in, tucked away. The pink wire is going to the pink wire here, coming from the stator. So that pink goes to the pink on the voltage regulator, and the yellow coming from the yellow coming from the stator, right, is connected to the yellow going to the voltage regulator. Black's nothing, green's to ground, red's your hot wire, that's going to the power of the light, and then, like I just said, the switches in that circuit. And so that's where I hung it. There's a little tab, metal tab right up in here to kind of help tuck the wires. It's supposed to put a little zip tie on the wires right here so they don't flop around with a normal like wiring harness. So we just kind of utilize that little area to wrap this bit in there. And so we're holding the wires, the pink and yellow wires, in this heavy duty sheath. And that's kind of just going right into the stock, kind of like try to make it clean. And then we're also using the zip tie to hang the regulator right in here, and the tank kind of just straddles the sides of it so it's out of the way, and it's kind of just dangling so it's it's in a good position. And then we just put another smaller little zip wire right here on this other ground wire just to kind of keep it from flopping around as much. And then I didn't do a disconnect. There's no quick plug or whatever, so if you wanted to take the headlight off, you'd actually have to take the seat off, tank off, come down in here, and you would disconnect these wires in here. Figured later we could add a plug if we wanted to disconnect it later, but this is just to keep things simple. And yeah, looks pretty good. All right, so we just got everything buttoned back up, tanks back on, seats back on, fuel lines connected. So we're gonna pull it out into the yard and give it another start up, let it get warmed up completely, and just maybe give it a little spin around the block just to make sure headlights running, staying on consistently, and just take another little overall look at the bike. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I hope that that helped. I'll drop a link in the description for the kit. The kit that the guy bought for this bike, it came with the stator and the voltage regulator, but the stator was the wrong stator for this bike, so we didn't end up using it. Turns out that we didn't even need to. So you really only need the voltage regulator. You don't need the stator. So anyways, yeah. The link for that will be in the description, and then from there you'll probably be able to just find just the regulator, the one we used. I think it's a pretty like generic regulator kind of thing. Okay, so it's all warmed up. Got the light switch. The camera shows it's kind of a little blinky, but that's not actually what's happening. For some reason it's a LED light, so it's kind of flickering there. It's not as apparent in real life. But anyways, yeah, there it is. It's headlights running, no battery. So anyways, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.